Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian Allen, and welcome to this week's video blog. This is presented by International Security Training, and the topic this week is going to be responding to arguments and fights. Now, we're going to have three objectives. The first objective is to discuss the overall philosophy, the why behind the approach we're going to take to this. Secondly is the actual approach itself, or the response framework. Okay, so again, the philosophy is why we are going to employ this framework. And thirdly, we're going to look at safety hazards. So as all of you know, that especially those of you who have been in the business, when things can go wrong, they most often will go wrong, especially when you're talking about human beings and emotions. So let's talk about the overall philosophy. When you're dealing with people who are pissed off, angry, they're already arguing, we need, as security professionals, to use our intellect, not emotions. Okay? So when you go to work, okay, when you're on that site, when you're at that venue, when you're at that club, the bar, whatever, you got to turn off any anger as much as humanly possible, of course, all right? I mean, I know we're all humans. That's why we're actually talking about this, okay? If we don't talk about this and we don't have a plan, we're going to get pissed off, we're going to get defensive, and we don't want to act like that. So use your intellect, not your emotions, all right? Secondly, have a plan. And when you have a plan, avoid target gazing. That's very important, okay? So when you're dealing with a subject or an individual on property, and you're trying to de-escalate things, you're going to start moving them off. Let's say they turn their body a certain way, okay? You mirror their positioning and you're looking at their arm, you're looking at their elbow. Boom, that's where you may go wrong because they can see what you're looking at or maybe be able to see your intention. So even though you know you're going to go for a wrist, you're going to go for an elbow, maybe you're going to snatch them up by the back of the neck, something like that. You want to be looking somewhere else to catch them off guard, especially if you have a partner moving around off angle to yourself. Okay? So avoid target gazing. Don't look at the part of their body that you are going to snatch up. Okay? Thirdly, use a force continuum. Okay? Very important. So those of you who've worked in law enforcement, corrections, professional executive protection before, you know this, right? Depending on the totality of the circumstances, we have a force continuum, and it goes from least intrusive to the most intrusive. Now, it is a guideline. Okay, you don't have to go through all these steps from minimum force to deadly force. You don't have to take it in that order if the subject immediately brings a higher level of force to you. You, in most states, are allowed to use the amount of force necessary to control and stop the harm to yourself. Okay, so it's normally going to be an equal or one step above the level of force that the bad guy is using on you. So I beg you guys, study the use of force or the escalation of force requirements in your country, in your cities and states, in your provinces, and know what you are required to do by law. Okay? Also, you want to appear cool-headed to the bystanders. These are going to be witnesses. People have their cell phones out as soon as a fight kicks off, as soon as an argument kicks off, as soon as security starts rolling up. People start watching and they start recording. So, thinking 2 and 3 steps ahead, you want to appear cool-headed even when you yourself are pissed off. Okay? We want to enhance our professionalism. Okay? You don't want to be the amateur bully type of bouncer security person. You don't want to be that person that everyone talks about. And by that I mean it's the person who, it's the first time they were in the military, first time they've been in security, first time they were a bouncer, first time they were a cop, so they have this, little man syndrome, or they're overly aggressive because they have some authority. Be relaxed. Be a professional. Enhance the reputation of your employer or your client. They are paying you for that. Okay? So that is our overall philosophy. For a lot of us, that means calming down. Okay? You're already probably a type A personality person if you're in this work. Okay? So look at yourself honestly, look in the mirror. Are you a hothead? If you are, develop your professionalism, build in this framework, and you will be able to improve that attribute of yourself. Okay, we're all human beings. Again, just bring this whole thing together for yourself. The second piece is the response framework. Now, this was given to me when I was overseas. In England and in Germany, we actually I was taught this. So I don't know who invented it, but I love it. So I'm going to share it with you. All right. It's simple 3 steps. First of all, physically and verbally intervene. That is going to be our goal. Okay. Secondly, we're going to act as a mediator. And thirdly, we're going to suggest a compromise to resolve the argument. This is our goal all the time. Suggest a compromise, resolve the argument, so that way when you have to deal with these people in the future, or when they go home and they think about what happened today, they're like, you know what? The security staff over there, wherever you're working, they treated me fairly. For the way I was behaving, the situation we were in, they were professional, they treated us fairly. Okay? Up above that, being that mediator between the two parties involved, or more if there's more involved, that's going to help you out. Now, if you go to my in-person courses or even the online courses, we talk about how to separate a group and how that group mentality works. Okay, so we'll teach you that some other time. But first of all, remember your overall philosophy is to act as a mediator when these things go down. And when we talk about physically and verbally intervening, verbally, that makes sense. That's your approach, how you introduce yourself. You're controlling the questions and the dialogue. But also physically, when we first roll up, you might see an argument going on, and all you do is stand about 5 feet away from the two people arguing. You stand in a manner that they can see you. In most cases, people will calm down because they don't want to get busted. If they don't care, they ignore you, well, this is a sign to you that the situation is a little bit more intense, and you can move your escalation of force up and then start interrupting, interjecting, controlling, questioning from there. Okay, so physically can just be done by proximity before you ever put your hands on someone. Okay, now there are a bunch of warning steps that are going to go on in this physical portion, because if it is verbal, you can't go physical for a few different, unless a couple different things have gone on. I would also want you guys to study the rights of property owners in your country, state, province, local area. Okay, the reason why is because even if somebody hasn't put their hands on you yet as security, if you've gone up, you used proximity, you've asked them to calm down, and they have not, okay, you've given them a trespass warning as an agent of the owner and asked them to leave, and they have not, then in a lot of cases, you can actually put your hands on someone and guide them out. Then if they escalate and try to assault you, you would obviously defend yourself. But there is a step to all of this, okay? So having this response framework is very important. Finally, let's talk about safety hazards as this is going on. This is the same stuff, ladies and gentlemen, that happens when we were on the schoolyard in the playground as kids. Crowd buildup, okay? But now, when you're working in professional security, I want you to look at 2 different areas here of crowd buildup. First of all, you have friends of the involved patrons. As soon as you go in and you start getting involved, they might either be thankful that you showed up, so that way you can calm their friend down, or they're going to side with their friend and just want to put up a good presence and fight the staff as well. Secondly, we have curious idiots, and this is my endearing term for them. Curious idiots who feel compelled to get involved. They can either be drunk, sober, just people who hate authority figures, and they think that you're being a little too overbearing by getting involved in someone's business. And actually I said 2, we're going to talk about 3 things because this is very important. Target shifting. This happens when you have the 2 people arguing with each other, maybe almost ready to fight, and then you roll up, you interject yourself, and then they both shift on you. Could be a natural type of target shifting. It could be a little bit more proactive where they were trying to set up security staff. So it's very important. Always watch your 6. Hopefully you always have a partner involved. Or if you are working alone, know how to use your escalation of force. Okay, you use proximity, you use some verbal interjections, some questioning. Okay, if target shifting starts to occur, we're not paid to get our asses kicked out there. You back off, you call in authorities, you call 911 if you're in the States. If you're in somewhere else, you call the emergency number and you get the police involved. Okay, so that is the goal. In conclusion, this whole thing is about enhanced professionalism. Okay, it's not about our egos. It's not about imposing our will on people. We have to get that out of our heads. If you're laughing, if you're talking all tough guy right now to yourself, really your career is going to go much smoother. You're going to make a lot more money if you grasp these professional manners. The goal is to protect the personnel, property, information, and reputation of the client. Okay, that is the goal. You will do that by taking this advice under consideration. Also remember, if you have to testify in court one day because you did get into a fight, somebody's suing you and or the client, well, this framework and the escalation of force will save your butt as long as you stuck to it, as long as you've documented things appropriately, and that's about it. So I hope this has helped you guys out. My name is Brian Allen with International Security Training. Until next time, stay safe.